Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of New York City, Season 11, Episode 4, Making Up is Hard to Do. Alright, we had a to be continued last week and we are picking up at the exact moment where we left off, where Luann is on her way over to where Dorinda and Bethany are at the bar. Dorinda kind of turns and then that's where we stopped, and so they say hello and embrace. And it is very, very awkward. You can just feel it at home when you're sitting there. It's real weird, stilted, like small talk. You look nice. Well, thank you. You look nice too. And I like your hat. Oh, well, I had a bad hair day. It's the way people who don't know each other would talk, or the way people who don't like each other would talk. Let me just say that. It doesn't sound like old friends at all. To the confession cam, Dorinda goes, "She's more nervous than I am. I'm trying to say I miss you, but she won't even make eye contact with me." Eventually, Dorinda does get around to saying, "I really miss you and I would like us to talk sometime." Luann goes, "Well, another time. We're not tonight. Not tonight. Tonight it's Sonia's night." Okay. Yes, it is. But she didn't say, "I want to talk to you right now." She said sometime. So, maybe just bring it down a couple notches. Chill. It's going to be fine. Luann's like, "Well, I've got to get back to my friend over there." So she leaves. So now back over on that banquette where everybody else is sitting, Luann tells Barbara she wants to talk. And Barbara's like, "Well, it's a start." Luann, okay, don't think she was trying to make a joke, but all right. Now, if we thought things were awkward before, we ain't seen nothing yet, because Sonia is just getting started. She turns to Barbara, who is right next to her, and said, "You have a very fuckable look." Okay, two things. One, ew. And two, does she though? I'm going to have to say no on that one. So Ramona's on the other side of Sonia, and she said, "Yeah, well, she does go both ways." Ramona is so quick with the information from the grapevine, isn't she? Sonia, "So the rumors are true." Oh, God. In the confessional, Sonia said, "I've heard Barbara goes both ways, not because she looks butch, but because it's been validated, so to speak." Oh, God. I feel like I don't want all this information about Barbara. I already don't like her. I don't need to know more about her. So anyway, Sonia's telling her, "Yeah, I told Tinsley she's not fuckable because she's like a doll. You just dust her off and put her back on the shelf." In Tinsley's confessional, she said, "Of course, sitting next to these hoe bags, anybody's gonna seem uneffable." Yeah, I just wouldn't worry too much about it. So Dorinda ends up leaving, and Ramona's leaving after her because Ramona has a date. But before she leaves, she does talk to Bethany and give her condolences, and Bethany seems genuinely appreciative. In her confessional, she said, I think Ramona did it exactly the right way. I mean, she said what she had to say, and then she kind of got out of there. We didn't have to have a big, long conversation, and I think that was best for both of us. So, and it probably was. And at least she got it out there. Before it was just, "I texted her, that should be good enough." Okay, now some rando girl from across the room says, "Sonia, can I come give you a kiss?" And Sonia's like, "Sure." And yeah, they are going to town. Tinsley has to cover her virgin eyes, and then she's gone. I think Bethany called it like a drive-by lesbian moment, but yeah, it was as intense as it was quick. All the ladies were kind of making a big deal about it, but in a way I feel like that just might be another night for Sonia. In Sonia world, I feel like that kind of thing happens. Next, we have a scene with Luann and her friend Anne, and they are going to like a soup kitchen. It's a place where they're not actually feeding the homeless right there. What they're doing is they're just packaging up soup that they then bring to homeless shelters or something. I'm not 100% sure, but they feed like 1 million people a day or something. But this is part of Luann's mandatory community service. She has to give 50 hours while she's on parole. And oh my God, all she has to do is ladle soup. And she can barely lift the ladle. I don't know, this ladle is very heavy. And really? A soup ladle? Don't you work out and stuff? Oh, she is so bad at it. The guy tells her how to do it. You dip in, kind of shake it on the way up, pour it into the container. No double dipping, that's it. And I'm sure that's because it's portioned out and they need to get so many portions out of a big vat of soup. But no. Oh no, I got too much stuff in there now. So, well, I'm going to double dip a little. You didn't see that. She is a hot freaking mess. My God, she ends up tasting the soup, grabbing one of the containers, pouring a little soup in it, and tasting it. Yeah. It's interesting when you see how the privileged are. You know, like she has no concept of the fact that, you know, maybe they're struggling to get the money for all the ingredients or all those containers, you know, that costs money too. And now you're just grabbing one and contaminating it with your mouth. It's so, whatever. Maybe you guys think it was no big deal. I think it was kind of disrespectful. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a mood. She is talking to her friend Anne a little bit about the fact that she just met her parole officer for the first time. And, you know, she wanted my social security number. She wanted my driver's license and my registration card for my car. And she said, I told her I was going on a trip on Friday. And her parole officer said, you mean, can you go? So this is a whole new world for Luann de Lesseps. Next, we are at Tinsley's hotel, and she's in the lobby ordering drinks for her and her mother. Yes, Dale is coming over for a little visit, and they sit down, and the first thing Dale does is lift up her foot and say, by the way, do you like? And Tinsley looks over, and she's like, Mom, those are Tabitha Simmons' shoes. That's Topper's wife. Topper, Tinsley's ex-husband, Dale. Just so you know, I would not want Dale to be my mom, but I love Dale as Tinsley's mom. Dale goes, I know that. I just love her stuff. Oh, she has no sensitivity whatsoever toward Tinsley, and I think it's hilarious. Although, as I'm thinking about it, that might be why Tinsley doesn't expect the men in her life to respect her. You know, maybe because her mother shows her no respect. I don't know, but I still think she's hilarious. Tinsley's like, I know, I love her stuff too, but I would just think because he's my ex that... And Dale goes, Topper has the most beautiful baby I've ever seen. It's just salt in the wound. And Tinsley goes, I know, Mom, I've seen the pictures, and I know the baby is adorable. And Dale's like, well, look at us, just talking about babies again. You are so catty. So then, okay, Dale cannot be stopped. Now she reaches into her bag and she pulls out her needlepoint. She is working on a Christmas stocking for Dabney's boyfriend. Dabney, Tinsley's younger sister. She's like, I think I told you I'm working on a stocking for Dabney's boyfriend. Tinsley's like, that's beautiful, Mom. I think it's your best yet. But why does she get a stocking? I told you I wanted one for Scott. Dale, well, let's just see how things pan out and progress. Oh my God. I told you I would not want her for my own mother. But... oh, she's a great character on this show. She's truly one of my favorites. Then there's a little throwaway scene of Sonia back at her old townhouse because she had been renting that out and she hadn't been there since the renters moved out. So now she wants to kind of clean it before she re-rents it. So she's going through it with her assistant. She goes in the bathroom. Well, I'll give it the smell test. She's like, okay, that's bad. Oh, thank you, Sonia. And bravo for not cutting that scene. Oh, then she finds the drapery is all wet because there's a leak in the skylight. In her confessional, she's like, that's because I wasn't here to caulk it. Nobody caulks a sky roof as good as I do. And I kind of believe her, you know? Anyway, Dorinda comes over, and really it's just to kind of let us know that Dorinda herself has found a new apartment to move to. And she's wondering if she should rent her old place too or try and sell it or whatever. Now, the next scene is Ramona's date. Ramona doesn't do Tinder because, I don't know, swipe right, swipe left. I don't understand all that. That's too complicated. So I just go to a matchmaker, Rory. Is Rory the one that had that party with Red Scarf? I think it is. Anyway, Ramona is seeing her now to help her find, Mr. Right. So she's on the date with this guy, and let me just say this. I am swiping left for you, Ramona. And I'm saying that knowing that Ramona is no prize herself. But this guy is, ugh. Ramona starts by saying, so I heard from Rory that you were born in Germany, is that right? And he said, yes, but where I was conceived is a better story. Do you want to hear it? So she goes, first just tell me, are you German? And he said, yes. Now the waiter comes, and we never do hear the story of his conception, thank God. He's pretentious, he's misogynistic. I think he found his match in Ramona, though, actually. He says, I do speak French, and I do speak German. Do you speak anything? No, I'm nonverbal, you idiot. So Ramona said, I only speak English, and that I don't always do so well. So that was cute. It was funny. It was self-deprecating. I mean, she's learned a few things going on all these dates, I think, But there was no helping this date. In the confessional, she's talking about she is kind of like a checklist. She wants to date only guys who have been married before. This guy has never been married, but he almost asked someone to marry him 8 times. That's not a red flag. She wants someone who isn't married to his job. He gets up in the morning, goes to work, and he works till the evening. She wants someone who's social. He just bought 16 acres out in the woods. Can't even see my neighbors. I love total isolation, he said. And she said she wants someone with strong morals. And he said he thinks that monogamy is unnatural. And aside from that, I mean, he's just a blowhard. This is where I think he met his match with Ramona, though, and I was happy about it. He said, can I give you my philosophy on marriage? And she said, no. I mean, personally, I think I probably would have left by now, but I'm glad she said no. And then the jerk says, well, I'll give it to you anyway. And she's like, la, la, la. She's not going to listen. It was one of the worst dates I've ever seen on TV. Okay, the next scene, we see Bethany, and she is at a restaurant in Little Italy, and she has invited Dorinda and Luann because she wants these two to, have a chance to talk and make up. This restaurant that Bethany picked is so pretty. They are sitting in this little atrium in the center of it, and it's all decorated beautiful. In fact, I'm at a table here myself. Dorinda gets there first, and she's like, oh, look at you. You said gangster. And apparently Bethany told them to dress gangster. Bethany said, I know, but I came right from another thing. And so Bethany's just in a suit. And Dorinda has an Adidas shirt and pink hair. What? How is that gangster? I don't get it. I think she thinks gangsta. But even still, I don't get it. I don't get this look. Anyway, Luann comes next, and Luann is dressed normally. She's got a blouse and jeans on. When Luann arrives, she hugs Bethany, and she hugs Dorinda, and then she goes, pink hair. And Dorinda's like, yeah, because she said gangster. And Luann, oh, you dressed gangster. I get it. Is the pink hair for the gangster look? And Dorinda's like, yes. Luann, wow, you went all out. So Bethany's like, doesn't she look good though? Luann, with the pink lipstick? She like gives a little nod, but yeah, just Luann is not feeling this look, just so you know. And I mean, it's fine, but that is not gangster or gangsta. I don't know what she thinks it is. Anyway, we changed the subject, thankfully, to Luann's new house. Luann bought a new house in upstate New York, and Luann said it's round. And Dorinda, then the devil can't get ya. Yes, because if you have corners, the devil can get you in the corner. I'm with Bethany. Bethany is going back and forth between these two. Dorinda's talking about the devil getting you in the corner, and Luann is talking about, yes, a roundhouse is very feng shui. You know, it's like the animals. The animals live in round things, and Native Americans live in teepees. Yeah. To the confessional, Bethany is like, these two bitches are whack jobs. When I look at real estate, I don't consider whether the devil's coming over. So now Barbara arrives. Bethany said that Luann wouldn't come unless Barbara was invited too. This woman that I've never even heard of before, and now suddenly Luann can't even film without her? Barbara is dressed gangster. Like real gangster. Pinstripe vest, fedora, you know, like a gangster, not gangsta or whatever Dorinda is. And, you know, everybody makes a big deal about it. And I guess it was the whole comment about come dressed gangster was because they're eating in Little Italy. So great. The whole plan was based on cultural stereotyping. Super. Anyway, Dorinda gets the ball rolling by saying, okay, we all know why we're here. Luann, I love you, and I hope we can work this out. I thought we were on a good path, but if it can't happen right now, I just want you to know that I care for you. I actually thought that was a pretty good statement. She just kind of put out there that she cares about her. She wants to move forward. If Luann is not ready for that to happen right now, that's okay. She has nothing but good wishes for her. Luann said, I wish the best for you too, and I don't want there to be any awkward feelings between us. And Bethany's like, can I say something? If it's not okay, I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to butt in. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So then she gets wacky because she said, you know, relationships, nobody's perfect. Like Meghan Markle and Harry, they still have to deal with stuff and they make mistakes. And Luann's now looking at her like she's crazy. And Luann goes, I mean, this is not, a relationship is not like British royalty or something like that. And she's like, all I'm saying is, even in the best of relationships, people make mistakes and you have to own your stuff. See, Bethany's thing is she really wants them both to say, okay, you know, I probably shouldn't have screamed Giovanni at you. And then, you know, Luann should say, yes, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said these things about you. That kind of thing. But that's not really going to happen here. Actually, Luann now seems kind of perturbed at Bethany because she's like, I've gotten through a lot of things that happened. And Cartagena, Dorinda said, I apologized for that. And she said, yes, we were good after Cartagena. Then the cabaret show happened. Okay, now Dorinda's like, I'm with somebody for 7 years. And Luann goes, oh no, we're not going through the whole John story. And I'm thinking, yes, please let's not go through a John story. Dorinda said, I was hurt. Bethany's like, okay, just admit you heckled with the Giovanni. No, she's not going to admit that. I didn't heckle her with Giovanni. Everybody's looking like, are we in Twilight Zone here? Because we all heard it. Of course, Bravo gives us the flashback. Thank you, Giovanni. It is one of the best lines of the season. It's a great line to go back to for Bravo to pull it up every once in a while. It's great. But Dorinda's not going to own that as heckling. I think she still wants to have us believe that she was just celebrating Giovanni right in the middle of Luann's set. Anyway, Dorinda is saying that after the cabaret show, she had been texting her all kinds of things like, it was great to see you, and I prayed for you, and side note, Saddle up because we are all going back to Texas. Yeah, Dorinda says it too. What about all the taxes? Anyway, Dorinda's like, we were over that and I sent you my prayers. And, you know, every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know, you can't beat a dead horse. This is now the second time that Dorinda has referenced, you know, hey, if it's not going to happen now, it's not going to happen. She's pretty okay with that, I think. She goes on to tell Luann, listen, you look great. You got a new house. Your show is successful. And Luann goes, yes, I'm really starting over. I'm starting a new chapter in my life. And Dorinda's like, and that's great. And Bethany goes, and maybe you both can be part of that new chapter. Dorinda, maybe not right now, Bethany. Third time. I don't think Dorinda wants Luann back in her life. At least not right now. She's fine with like making peace, but I don't think she wants to pick up a relationship again. Let's be friends. Let's do stuff together. I think she just wants to make it nice. So anyway, Luann said, well, it's a truce. And then Bethany's like, yeah, great. It's a truce. And they all, you know, cheers, clink glasses on it being a truce. And Dorinda's like, I'm going to hug you whether you want it or not. So she goes over and hugs and kisses Luann. And you know what? It's probably the most honest conclusion that they could come to. It would have been fake if they acted like they were going to start over being close friends. And, you know, this probably is the best outcome that could have happened at this point. Next scene is Dorinda in her apartment, and oh boy, she has Lori, her real estate agent, come over. Lori is a trip. And I don't know if you guys know who Angie Dickinson is, but Lori looks like a drag version of Angie Dickinson. She's got the teased hair. She's got a real orangey glow. Like, I guess they haven't seen each other since Dorinda bought the place from her. And she said, you look like you did 17 years ago. And Dorinda's like, oh, I don't know about that. And Lori goes, you're supposed to say the same about me. I don't know what Lori looked like 17 years ago, but I hope it wasn't this. Then she hugs Dorinda and tells her that she's zoftig. And Dorinda's like, what? And she goes, yeah, nobody likes to hug skin and bones. Oh, thank you, Lori. It was just a throwaway scene, but it was kind of a fun one. Now we see Sonia on the rooftop of the Mondrian, which isn't that where the Vanderpump boys went on Vanderpump Rules? I mean, obviously not the one in New York City, but... So there's like a lounge up top, or maybe it's a restaurant, and she's sitting there taking selfies of herself, and she is waiting for Tinsley and Dale to come. I'm not sure what Sonia's agenda is here. I think Tinsley is like a frenemy for her. They're friends, yet she's either jealous or she just doesn't like her. I don't know. But even though there's not been anything like this season yet with those two, there is a history of it. And I think it comes out in little ways. In little ways, it's obvious that I don't think Sonia really likes Tinsley. Anyway, I don't know what her game is here. If it's to call her out in front of Dale or what. She starts off very nice by telling her she loves her dress, and Tinsley said, oh, it's Alice and Olivia, which is what Tinsley always wears. It's a really pretty dress, and it fits Tinsley perfectly. I don't know what Tinsley said, but Sonia goes, oh, Tinsley, you undervalue yourself. Dale, doesn't she undervalue herself? Dale. And you know Dale's not going to disappoint us. Dale, well, she's got a big ego. So I don't know if that compliment, telling Tinsley that she undervalues herself, was all part of a plan for Sonia to now talk about how Scott really should be asking her to marry him. Because you're a catch and you shouldn't be waiting around for this guy. And yeah, like if that was my friend, I'd be like, what are you doing? You already know my mother gives me a hard time about this. And Dale said, well, he's a great guy, but I would prefer him to be a son-in-law instead of just some guy. Oh my God, the look on Tinsley's face. Dale goes on to say, you know, when you're his age and her age, 6 months is long enough to know. And then, of course, Sonia says, people ask me to get married on the first date. I went out with a guy last week. He asked me the first night. So Tinsley's like, listen, we've had some issues and we've broken up and stuff. And I'm in New York and he's in Chicago and we're both busy. We've had some issues, but I don't need a ring on my finger. Sonia goes, and you're going to be committed to him? What is your game, Sonia? At the very least, why do you care so much? So anyway, Dale's like, well, you're not going to stick around for another 3 years, are you? And Tinsley goes, 3 years? No, I'm talking a few months. So, we know where Tinsley gets it, right from her mother. But Tinsley, she can't be so desperate like that, Okay, Barbara Kay should be holding the center apple because she's in more scenes than any other housewife. Barbara Kay has been all over season 11. Anyway, now she's coming to Dorinda's house. Boy, the Bravo camera is just panning up her whole body. I guess it's because she said she just came from a construction site and she's got these open-toed high heel sandals on and a dress. So maybe Bravo thought that was kind of funny. So I guess Dorinda has invited her over to kind of assess her apartment because she's a contractor or a builder or what, I don't exactly know what her business is. But she would like to get her opinion on stuff because Dorinda wants to spruce up the apartment before she either rents it or sells it. Well, right away, Barbara said, well, I think you need to paint. And she said, okay, well, I got to get these floors done. And Barbara looks down at the floors and she's like, oh, yeah. She is not sugarcoating anything either. She goes, oh, yeah, these floors are atrocious. And they are. They're all scratched up and everything. Barbara is quite frankly surprised by the whole state of Dorinda's apartment. And quite frankly, so am I. It looks like she hasn't touched it since she bought the place 17 years ago. But anyway, now they go over to the couch to sit down and talk, and they're having some champagne. And I guess she asked Barbara what was Luann's takeaway from the lunch. And Barbara said, well, Lou was happy, but she was also surprised that you wouldn't budge on an apology. Now we see a little flashback to earlier, and Barbara and Luann are talking, and Luann doesn't trust Dorinda, and she said, it's just a different friendship now. Anyway, so Dorinda says to Barbara, she's stuck. The poor girl. I feel really sorry for her. She wants to villainize me and victimize herself. I don't even think about it, but she is almost obsessed about it. I'm really worried. Maybe she needs to talk to somebody. Okay. And Barbara said, but aren't you happy that you're friends again? What lunch were you at, Barbara? I wouldn't really exactly say they're friends again, but okay. And Dorinda said, I came away from the lunch feeling great. And Barbara said, well, you think one thing and she thinks another. And Dorinda interrupts, I'm not doing this. Barbara, you need to be careful because you're looking like you drink the Kool-Aid. Now, brace yourself because I'm about to say something nice about Barbara Kay. I actually appreciate that Barbara seems to be trying to keep this light, but it's not going to work because Dorinda has already hopped on the crazy train and she's not getting off. She will not be derailed from this, narrative that she's about to go down. And I don't think Barbara realizes that. Barbara said, I'm just drinking champagne. Dorinda's not going to laugh or joke her way out of it. Nope, because Dorinda is locked in. Dorinda picks up her glass and goes, it's not a glass, it's a cherry. Luann says it's not a glass, it's a cherry. She's got the Ramona eyes going and she looks insane and she's kind of talking insane. And Barbara's like, no, I'm not like that with Luann. Now we get into Dorinda waving some papers about Luann's lawsuit around. Because Barbara said, did you not wave papers around at lunch? Dorinda goes, nope, I didn't do that either. Bravo shows us this lunch that was 3 weeks earlier that we didn't see, but it was Sonia, Tinsley, Ramona, and Dorinda having lunch together. Dorinda said, I don't have a lawsuit with my ex-husband. And Sonia was defending Luann and said, no, you don't know the whole story. And she said, yeah, I do. And she pulls her phone out and shows her phone to the other three. She's claiming it's 18 pages of a document that Luann's ex filed against Luann. Pretty incriminating, Dorinda. Sorry. But what Dorinda says to Barbara is, I didn't bring papers to lunch. That was Sonia. Yeah. She's blaming this on Sonia. Obviously, the cameras were there. How does she think she's going to get out of this? Plus, Sonia was defending Luann, at least in that little clip that we saw. So Barbara said, are you telling me that Sonia was waving papers at that lunch? And Dorinda goes, she said the lawsuit wasn't blah, blah, blah. And I said it is. And to Barbara, she goes, he has a lawsuit. It's filed. You're not proving your point, Dorinda. And Barbara said, well, it's nobody's business if it is. To the confessional, Barbara said, you know, if she's really Luann's friend, she would have shut down that conversation. Which, I mean, that's a little too logical for this show, but that just proves that Barbara's a newcomer here. So then Barbara says to Dorinda, I would hate it if somebody were talking about my son and my ex. Dorinda, then talk to Sonia. She is throwing Sonia under the bus and then rolling back and forth because Barbara goes on to say, that's cruel. It's not supportive of other women. Talk to Sonia. Now Dorinda starts crying. I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious. I didn't realize it at first, but Dorinda must have been drinking before this scene started. And that kind of stuff sort of, I don't know, that's not fun to me. When somebody has an actual real problem, like they're drinking alone in the afternoon in their apartment, that's not entertaining or funny to me. What keeps me coming back to this show are the ridiculous antics that they get into with each other. And yes, sometimes it's crazy fights, but if they're at a party and they're getting wasted and they're being goofy and crazy things are coming out, that's the part of the show I like. The part I don't like is it when it gets too real, and it might be getting too real with Dorinda for me. I love Dorinda. I have even said that I love drunk Dorinda because I do think she's funny when she's crazy and drunk. But I don't like alcoholic Dorinda, and if that's where this is heading, then it's not going to be fun. You know what else isn't going to be fun? If all these women have to end up being sober. I don't know how much longer we can go on with these ladies. I don't know. Barbara Kay, what's your situation? You like your champagne in the afternoon? Anyway, like I said, now Dorinda is just full on ugly crying. I was at her wedding. I was her only defender. I was her friend. I was in her wedding. I sent her texts. I prayed for her. I took her to church. And then she said, I'm not going to get sick over this. If you came here to get me all aggravated, then you can just go. And Barbara very calmly said, if you want me to go, I'll go. Dorinda, go, go. Barbara's like, okay, fine. And you can take your renovation and do it yourself. Dorinda, yeah, you can stay home. Barbara closes the front door behind her and Dorinda closes her bedroom door behind her. And that's where this episode ends. Yes, lovely. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. I love to hear from you guys. I'll be back next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time, and I hope you'll join me for the next recap of The Real Housewives of New York City. Bye-bye.